Hi everybody, welcome to the Rambling Toffee podcast. I am Mark. I hope everyone's doing well this week. I'm looking forward to the weekend and looking forward to the game against Palace on Monday. As you can guess, at the moment I've got a bit of a croaky voice and a bit of a cold flying around at the moment, so hopefully I'll plough through this podcast, giving my views on everything that's Everton related. It's just something I've been wanting to do for the last few days. It's just been driving me mad that I've not had any opportunity to speak about the game which took place on Saturday against Man City and all the things that's going on regarding the points deduction and the appeal regarding that and the takeover and everything else that's going on with, regarding Everton Football Club at the moment. So let's get to it. Let's get started. Yes, so, for me, Everton game against Manchester City, expected the defeat, expected the result to be, what it was expecting it to be. Um, on Friday, I think before the game, I think my feelings were if we can go there, set up tactically well and just go out there and, defend really, really well, make it hard for them to actually break us down, to get ourselves in the, put us in at least a position that at least we can, try and get a point, try and get a result out of the game. And I felt that's what happened. I mean, we started with the same team that drew with Tottenham week previously. And I thought we set up really well defensively. We worked really well. Great performances across the defence. Midfield doing their job as well. I felt we were a little bit more expansive in the first half with our breaks. We did have opportunities to get forward, but obviously the final passes again always going to get us undone, and we're just not going to get them opportunities. But when we did have them, we just couldn't put them in the right areas and right places so we can try and score, get an opportunity to do so. So in that first half, it was a great performance all around. I thought Jared Brandthwaite again, fantastic performance throughout the whole of the game. I'll talk about the second half and, obviously the second goal that City scored. I thought Tarkovsky was good. I thought Mikalenko. I thought Godfrey was okay until obviously sickness brought him off. And I thought, James came and did what he normally has done. I thought the midfield worked hard, and I think what you saw was a committed, committed performance, which is all you can do. And when you're playing against a team like Man City with their superstars or players that they have, not just on the field but on the bench, is what kind of game it's going to be like. And I know there was a lot of criticism of some City fans saying we were so boring that we didn't, we made it hard for them. That was the whole purpose of it, and we had to because we're trying to get points at this moment in time because of where we are currently. And just apologies, I'm going to suck off a minute. But basically, what was the purpose of it? That's the reason why we had to do what we had to do. And I don't care what Man City fans think regarding how we play. It's how we play, really. But we're doing that we haven't got the players to actually play that kind of football that for some reason Man City fans seem to want every team that go there to play like. We are not that team at the moment, and we're not going to be like that team for a while. So we're playing the best way we possibly can and playing to our strengths. And that's what we thought. And I thought the performance on that level was fine. We did have opportunities in that first half to get forward, as I said, but wrong ball again, wrong decision. That's how it's always been with Everton at the moment. And we've seen it throughout the season. And that just shows you that. But if you look at the big picture here, we've got a very small squad. We've got injuries at the moment. We've got our best player currently, which is Decore, out injured, which seems to link up a lot of our play. And he's the one that gets on the end of a lot of the goals that we score. He's currently out. But as a performance, it was the best performance you can obviously get against a team like the Manchester City, who are flying on all fronts, battling away. Got great players across the pitch, off the pitch is on the bench. It's like you could see, I'm trying to find the words now. You could see, the big versus small. It was like that's what it felt. It felt like we were a small club, as we are not. But it's like, it's like that's all you can do. All we can do to get, to try and get a point, try and get some sort of result against these type of teams, which play fantastic football and play a certain way. We know what Pep's like, what his record's telling that. So it was set up in that way. But I mean, there was that start on the Saturday which really baffled me, and I couldn't believe it. Was Jack Grealish, who was worth £100 million, was apologies, £100 million, and is worth the same value of what we got playing on Saturday on the pitch. That is just staggering, and it just shows you the gulf between Man City and the six up there, and the clubs that are in the 14, and it just shows you where all the problems we're having at the moment, and where a lot of criticism is now more and more now is getting levelled at the Premier League, and everything regarding it. But I'll get more into that in a minute. But yeah, it was the performance that we can obviously put out there. It was okay. Obviously, the first goal for Manchester City, well, it should have been a corner. I thought it was a goal kick from that corner, the original corner. It should have been a goal kick. They get the second corner, score from it, obviously, and then it kind of knocked us a little bit. But we kept on going. We kept on defending, kept on doing our job to the best of the way we can. And obviously, we got into their corner of with two or three of our players, and they got the ball off us, broke forward, and Jared Branthwaite, who's had a fantastic game, I thought was one of our man of the match for me. I felt he was really, really good and showing how far he's going. He's going to go in the future wherever. Hopefully, it'll be great to be with Everton, but it's looking likely that way things are at the moment that he will be one of those players that will move on and we'll get the money for him. But I wish that would not be the case, but that's just the way things are at the moment. So yeah, ball went forward. He fell over, accidentally fell over. It was coming together and he just went down. It wasn't an error. It just happened. That's what happened. I think he clipped his own heels and went down. And then Haaland went through. We all know what's going to happen next. 2-0, and there you go, game over, really. But as a performance, as what we put out there, what we've got currently, that's all you can do. And we did the job to the best of our ability. We took it to the 70-something minute. We did really, really well. We frustrated them to just 2 shots on target, which they scored from both of them. And that's all you can do. So it's really, really good performance, something positive to take away from that and not to think about it. We just move on. Our next games are the most important ones against teams that are around us and basically where we can get a result. We need to get wins. And obviously, we're coming up to the next game, which is Crystal Palace at home on Monday night. And for me, we've got Anana, obviously, who came on in the second half against City, who's back. So we've got him back. And hopefully, we'll see Decore come back into the team, which will be absolutely massive, massive lift. And I think, him coming back in will hopefully, get us back and get us winning ways again. And we need to. Palace are not doing well. They're struggling more than we, as much as we're getting points here or there from games and doing okay, but we're not getting wins. But Crystal Palace seems to be going on a slippery slope. So we need to get a win. That's going to be a massive, massive game on Monday night, and hopefully we can come away and pick up some points. And then we've got some other games coming up throughout the next few weeks where there are opportunities to get, some points on the board, and we move from there. But so we take the positives from the City game and we move forward. And with players coming back, into squad, strengthening the team, it's going to help us even further going forward. So that's a positive take. And we move on. So yes, so we move to Monday. But one of the things about when I think we need to pick up points, we are currently, as we all know, waiting for this appeal verdict from the points deduction that we got in October. And still not heard anything. It feels like we might hear something next week, but nothing's come out yet. Interestingly, there's not been much leaks coming from the media, legacy journalists who like to or pick up stories um, from the Premier League, who like to leak little things. And it seems to be, in my mind, maybe I'm wrong, but in my mind, that the leaks they only come because if the Premier League are being successful with the appeal. But we've not really heard anything of that kind. There's been little murmurings here or there from certain places, but it's been very tight-lipped and it's not coming out. So I'm trying to be positive with this, that we're not hearing that noise or hearing those little leaks that really frustrate me and probably frustrate everybody else, because as a fan, we know the situation, the Premier League know the situation, and at the end of the day, Everton Football Club are keeping themselves, not saying anything to anybody, being respectful, not talking about the case yet until it's all come out. They're doing the right things legally, but it seems to be the Premier League are not. And the Premier League are, at this moment in time, in my opinion, are not good enough, not a good enough organisation. The CEO we've seen from the DCMS when he was being at that select committee, and the letter that was sent to the DCMS regarding the minutes and the witness statement and everything else regarding that, and saying we don't because we're a private company, we don't give that information to you, when basically the regulations and everything else that regarding this breach and the rules of the game and everything else, the rules of PSR and everything else, obviously has not been it's public. It's out in the public domain, and that is a public part of the Premier League. Yes, the Premier League may be a private company, but when it comes to regulation and everything else like that, it becomes more public, because it affects running companies like Everton Football, who are public running, and this we are, as fans, we need to know what's going on, but they've obviously want to keep that to themselves, which is baffling. So it'll be interesting to see what the DCMS come back with regarding that, because it will be, they'll be probably asking, well, you should be passing that information on to us. We need to know what is going on, what happened on that date of the 10th of August. What was your witness statement? What was the minutes from from the meeting? What was going on? And it gives the impression that all that plover out there, what they put out there in that letter, gives an indication to me that it's they're hiding something, which is not. I feel that they're hiding something. Let me know, what do you think? I think they're hiding something, and I think they're keeping it from everybody publicly, and even people within Parliament, which are part MPs and people that want to form an independent regulator. And this is what happened there, is giving an indicator why it needs to happen more sooner rather than later, because they can't regulate the game and also be promoters of the game. They can't do two. If they want to just be promote the game and do that role, go and get TV deals and do all that stuff and promote the game to the world, then there you go. They should focus on that. But even that, at the moment, by promoting the game, they just promote the six. And that's another story. They promote the six clubs, the big six, the Sky Six, the Sly Six, those clubs that, get all the money, because they get better turnover. More viewers worldwide want to watch them more than anything else. They seem to be getting all the money. They seem to be getting away with it. We all talk about the ESL, the breakaway, and everything else regarding that, when that all went tits up. And basically, they will back down and you've got a measly fine from it. But it seems to be that the Premier League, or feels like it, that their focus is just on them, those teams, because they know where the money can come from there. They know where the viewers are going to watch them, And it seems to be the 14 other clubs. I'm sorry, I'm digressing here, but the 14 other clubs within the division are just here to make up numbers and be part of the Premier League. And part of that Premier League, you'll get some money from a TV deal. That means you'll get that. And if you do well enough in the Premier League, you might get some prize money if you do really well. And it just feels like we're just like, oh, behave yourself, you're all right, yeah, good. You just stay there and you just keep on playing football. You just keep on doing what you need to do. You're just part of the Premier League. These six here, they are everything. Everything. We will focus on them. And you know, I just feel that that is where the problem lies, especially with PSR, especially when we breached the 10-point deduction, especially now Nottingham Forest as well, of course. Everything about the Independent Commission, when that happened, everything you read about it, everything that's going on, there's mitigating circumstances within that. And what has happened here is that a big cock up has been made by the Premier League. And instead of when they wanted 12 points. They wanted 12 points given to Everton Football Club as a deduction. And he told everybody that even before we had a case to answer, and even to get our mitigation in and everything else regarding that. So they already had the motivation that we're going to actually go and we want to take 12 points off you. And then they put this formula together and they passed it to the Independent Commission and said, this is what we want to do and this is what we want you to do. So it worked out 10 points. But the Independent Commission said, oh, we're not taking that. No, we don't agree with that. We don't agree with that formula. How are you coming to that? But then they gave a 10-point deduction. They still gave a 10-point deduction. And I'm going back over old ground here. But what I'm saying, Premier League have made an absolute F up with this. Because they should have taken, if they were being absolutely honest, they should have taken Premier League, if they would have seen this, because they've seen our accounts, they would have seen all the support, all the evidence that we've been giving them over a period of time to try and get ourselves compliant. They knew that we were actually having money payments going from the stadium, money going to the stadium. They knew of that. Those rules were in place where it was allowed as part of it, a part of when you're accounting. But what happens next? They changed the rules midway through the process. That threw Everton and thinking, all right, they went from thinking we are compliant and we think we're okay. That's what they said. They said it at the time. Whatever we think about the board or whatever else, that's what they said at the time. They were confident enough that they would be fine. They were a bit surprised by the fact that they were actually being investigated. That's where it went. That was before all this kicked off. Because they had it in their head at that point in time, I think, at that point in time, that the payments that go for the stadium was compliant and allowed as part of your calculation. But they changed the rule midway through to say that that is no longer the case. So you have to add that. So that's where the key is here. They changed the rule. And if this new appeal, the appeal that's gone through, has taken that on board and the mitigating circumstances regarding that, regarding Ukraine, regarding COVID, regarding, player Y, player X, whatever else, all that information indicates to me, and this is where I feel confident we'll get all our points back, is because of that. Because of all the mitigating circumstances. And if they take them in account, this appeal, and we got the KC, going and doing his job and hopefully doing it for us and actually will come out getting all our points back, then that will be absolutely amazing. But it's the Premier League who made the decision to try to think, right, we don't want an independent regulator. We want to show that we can do our job and we can put the rules in place and we can deal with this. So what did he do? Everton was an example here. They saw, well, we've been helping them. We kind of know what's going on, with our finances and everything else, But if we were to move the rules here, we could give them a deduction. Whereas, I'm being conspiracy theorist here, but it's just, I don't care. But the feeling I have is that they changed the rule. That's what it is. It's changing the rules. And if they didn't change the rules, we would have been compliant and we would have been all right. And that's the key. But they're trying to by doing that, they're trying to show how strong they are, how powerful they are, that they can actually regulate the Premier League and regulate the clubs and say, we can do this. And by putting a deduction of that amount, we've all talked about this, the crime doesn't fit the punishment of what we're seeing. And basically, is there any punishment there? The fact is, Everton admitted a breach. They had to, because the stadium costs. They had to admit it because, oh yeah, we've gone over that, but it's come from the stadium. And if you take out all, if they take on board the mitigating circumstances, the of Ukraine and the sponsorship, when we lost our sponsors, not just for the new stadium, but for the current Goodison Park, where we had, all sponsors on our stadium, plus the training ground, money gone. So now we had a black hole and basically trying to get money in so we can actually keep going, and we didn't have that. So it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and we're in this position now where basically we're waiting on this, and if they continue to keep a 10-point deduction and say that stays as it is, and then we get a second charge, we will find out at the end of the season, which is even worse. This is why they're not fit for office and they need to be gone. Richard Masters and Alison Brittain, or whatever she's called, they need to be gone because they put in everything. They're trying to regulate the game and they're doing it. These things take time if you're charging clubs, regarding PSR breaches and everything else. Not Forest is being an example here. The fact is that, if we get the 10-point deduction continue, we get charged again for the second breach, and then if we're going to go on to the takeover here, if we don't have the takeover, that's another 9 points because we might go into administration. So that's 29 points. We're already relegated. We're gone. But if by any miracle, I'm trying to be optimistic and saying that I hope we get the 10 points back from what is going on and what is being said. If we get that back, that means that second charge goes. That means that even if the takeover doesn't get the approval by the Premier League, then at least with the team that we have, we will still be in the Premier League. We'll be further up the table. We'll still have the players, and it's probably money is still going in currently. But what will happen next is that the current owner, which is Mashiri, he will actually have to start paying to keep the club going. And then what will happen next is hopefully somebody out there will be interested in taking over the football club. And if that's the case, then great. But at the moment, as we go on to about the takeover, is bloody hell, when are we going to get this approval? Because again, everything's up in the air. We just don't know. We don't know if we're going to get our points back. We don't know if if the takeover is going to take place. Is it going to happen? It's going to get approval, isn't it? Is it? Yes. I don't know. And it's just been going on way too long. And we need to, be clarified sooner rather than later. The fact is, a journalist for the BBC, says that we'll get told if it's approved or not after the points deduction appeal. And Why that? Why does them two need to be together? Why does it have to be that? It's just strange. It's just baffling me. I just, for me, as I mentioned about the 777 partners who are putting money in, trying to keep the club going, keep on going the way it is, they keep on saying they hope that it'll be approved. I read something today. I think it was Toffee TV put something out. They asked the question. 777 Partners said that hopefully mid to late February that it will be approved or they'll find out about it. The club are keeping stum at this moment in time and just hopefully it'll be sorted sooner rather than later. The Premier League are just saying, well, they can't say anything at this moment in time, obviously for obvious reasons. But whatever I think about 777 Partners, thinking that they're not right for Everton Football Club, and especially with all the noise that comes a part of them, with all the legal situations and litigations and everything else that's going on, other clubs that they have investments in or own. For me, they don't look the right fit, and we can all appreciate that they put money in, but I don't know if they're the right people for us. But at the end of the day, I can't make that decision. At the end of the day, it's the current owner wants to sell to them, and if they've got money up front, well, they've obviously put money in currently, but if they got money to be able to complete the stadium, to keep the club going, and get us back on a square right route and going in the right pathway, then you know they're the best ones at this moment in time. But in reality, I'd rather have somebody else who you can kind of trust and know what they want to do, and they probably have all the answers and everything they want to do. But until they take over, I don't know. But it just feels very ominous that it's just taken such a long time for it to be, you know, to be in a position where they can say either be approved or not. And I'm trying, not to think what would happen if they don't. As I just mentioned, there is options. Hopefully, be somebody else interested if that was to come to that. But also, what really is worrying me is that if we don't get any points back from this deduction, if we get more points added to our second charge, and this is doomsday if that comes and we don't have a takeover and there's no money there, and if the current owner Mashiri doesn't want to put any more money into the club, then administration's next. Then you get a 9 point deduction from that, and we'll be down. And then this PSR where it's about sustainability and trying to keep clubs going and safe and try to make sure that the club's doing right with what they do with their money, with how they're accounting things. It's not working that way, and it seems to be not working with clubs. Well, Everton at the moment, that if you give sporting sanctions for financial issues, and there's no sporting sanction on the field, and you can see it, then you know you're sending us down, and then you basically we're in the championship means is that we've got less money coming in. Fans must keep on going. We're paying more money for season tickets, but we'll be in the championship, and there'll be no extra money that will enable us to keep on going. That means there'll be redundancies, staff will be reduced. There's not bare thinking what could happen next with this, and I'm trying not to be, and I just hope that everything we can see the light at the end of the tunnel and we see something positive going forward. So yeah, that's let's see what happens next on that front. And it's just let's hope. Anyway, just let me know in the comments below what you think. What do you think? Do you think we're going to get the 10 points deductions back? Do you think we get them all back? Do you think is this going to change the way everything happens with not just Everton but how PSR's looked at in the future? I know they want to change the rules in August. I think it is. I think they're voting on it and all that sort of thing. What do you think? Do you think that PSR? Do you think that something has to change here? I mean, at the moment, it's just like, as a club itself, we just want to go forward and get somewhere. We want to compete. We want to challenge. We want to challenge further up the table. We want to get into Europe. We want to win trophies. We want to win titles again. Why can't we be ambitious enough to want that? And what happened? 2017. Mashiri comes in. He throws money at it. He put buy player at in the early part, and it failed. He didn't put structure in place. He didn't put the right people in the right places. It didn't help matters, and that's got to the position where we are. And because we want to build a brand new stadium, which is going to help us in the future, meaning that we'll have more income coming in, sponsors and everything else that's going to come as part of that. And in the future, to get us stabilised enough that we can start seeing a change on the field, and hopefully over time we'll start seeing Everton come back and be the Everton that we all want them to be, and competing at the top end of the table. And they refer to it like Bashiri, as I just said, referring to it as an elite, being back in the elite. And we need to be there. The size of the club. We're a big club. Our history indicates that. It doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter what. Just Richard Masters says that we want a little club, but we're not. He looks at us as a little club because the six clubs that predominantly brings in all the money through TV deals and everything else internationally and locally. That's where his focus lies, and that's where he cares more about. But also, I think there's a fear that you know if if they don't, if the Premier League and Richard Masters, if they don't, you know, deal with the six and listen to the six and let them dictate what goes on in the Premier League and everything else. There's a good old ESL, European Super League, that's still around, and you could see them, threaten to actually go into this breakaway league again. As much as people think they're not going to do that, but it's still there, and I would guess that it's where the money is, and if they want to get more money and they're offering it, that's where you could see them going, and it could be sooner rather than later that could happen. But at the moment, that's why I think Richard Masters and the Premier League are caring too much about them, focusing on them, giving them everything, making sure that they're okay. Because you could talk about Chelsea with, should be investigated for breaches that PSRs that they've done over the years, and Man City, of course, with all their points deduction, their breaches that they've made, and still waiting to be investigated. Where little old Everton, as they call it, and little old Nottingham Forest as well, we just gone over, our 105 million. Let's breach them. Let's give them a 10-point deduction. They'll accept it and move on. But because Everton didn't and fighting back against them, that's including the fans, the likes of Andy Burnham and everybody else, and the MPs and everybody else who have jumped on and said, no, this is not right. What you're doing is wrong. Everything about this needs to be sorted. You shouldn't be giving sanctions like that for something so minor like that. And and they're going after the easy clubs that they feel they'll accept it. But if they won't go after the likes of Liverpool, Manchester United, or any of the Man City, well, Man City of course have got breaches, but they won't go after them, will they? If they had an issue, they'll find a way to not talk about it, and that's where the divide is between the 6 and the 14. And it seems to be the 6 are the rulers, are the owners of the Premier League. They seem to be one that's dictating what goes on in this Premier League and away it goes. They just want all the money for everything, They want to take everything. And, when a few people actually say the ESL, they just wish that they had a gone, and then maybe the 14 we could be, bring other teams in for the championship and actually have a competition that everybody can be more balanced. Everybody can actually, go for have an opportunity at winning titles than what we currently have. So anyway, I rambled on a little bit too much, and I got through it without, a bit of a croak, without coughing, having too many coughing fits. So anyway, on that note, thank you very much for listening. I do appreciate the support as per usual. Please give me as much feedback as possible in the comments below, on social media, or wherever you actually get to watch me or listen to me. I do appreciate it. I just want to say from now on, I'll be back for my next podcast, which will be next Tuesday after the Palace game, giving my review on that. And if we've heard anything regarding the points deduction appeal or the takeover, so I'll give you anything that's coming out then. So on that note, thank you again for listening and watching. Have a great week, and I'll speak to everybody again next Tuesday. So this is the Rambling Toffee signing out. Take care. Bye bye.